I am back on the air, and just as I was saying that I thought perhaps the blue beam was coming from above us as opposed to the ground, I was knocked off the air, so I'm saying that again just for emphasis. And in case that was why I was being knocked off, I do have somebody who, and actually, David, I've asked you to go onto Skype if you are able to during this show, because I can actually send you some quick links of these pyramids that have been spotted over the USSR and I believe it's also over the United States, which are really bizarre. They look like pyramid-shaped UFOs, and they're very clear. And they were just sent to me recently by an undisclosed source.
Really?
And I also have someone, yeah. And I have, so if you go on Skype, I'll paste those in real quick for you. And you can take
all right, well, I just texted you on Skype, so you can answer that and send me the link, and then we can talk about it live as I'm looking at it.
Very good. Yeah, I see that there. Okay. And then I have a secret source over here who has I believe, a special forces background, and he is telling me that it quote unquote, is hard to hide a plasma weapon, and that it has physical effects that are visible, and also.
Wait a minute, are we still talking about the pyramid now?
No, we're going back to the blue
spiral.
What,
okay.
what I'm talking about here is just this feedback that I'm getting online as we're talking here about the subject. And he's basically saying that he thinks it may be an Earth-based weapon, but he does acknowledge that CERN could be involved. He does acknowledge that's a possibility. But to get back to the pyramids, although you can go ahead, I mean, I am very familiar. Obviously, we just did a conference in Brussels with Stephen Bassett, and certainly we did a conference, as many people will know, the notorious Stephen Greer interview, which we can certainly talk about any time of day anyone wants to. But aside from that, Stephen Bassett is a tireless worker for disclosure. What kind of disclosure are you talking about, and why all of a sudden there's so much activity that's really, it's in pretty substantial areas, is really an interesting thing to contemplate?
Well, as far as Bassett's data and what he shared with me, we didn't really get very specific on details in terms of why are they doing this and what's the objective. The closest that we've come to that is what we heard from Peterson, which is basically that the powers that be have concluded that this needs to be done now because the Earth is at a tipping point that they feel cannot be reversed unless classified technology that can rapidly heal the biosphere is brought out into the open and starting to be used now, because you could not start greening the deserts and have lush vegetation growing within a matter of a few months and have that be something that you could cover up. It would be too big, too substantial, too effective for it to be kind of slipped under the radar. So it seems that, remember, one of the things Peterson said to us was that part of the message that disclosure will have once it's finally made, however that's done, is there's going to be some people here to help us, please don't shoot them. So the other thing that Richard Hoagland was getting into, the other thing that Richard Hoagland was getting into with me was the idea that we're basically dealing with this major war that's going on among insiders. And so one interpretation of this thing that was seen over Norway is it's like the losing faction that doesn't want disclosure to happen, saying, don't go there, don't make your announcement that UFOs are real while you're there getting your Nobel Peace Prize in Norway, because we have the potential to wipe out cities with this technology that we're showing you we have. So it would be kind of like a breast-beating guerrilla move, you know. That's possible. Again, we really don't have enough specific information to know exactly what this thing is. I do think the stakes around disclosure are very high. It does seem to be one of the factors that led to Kennedy being assassinated. Many people have been neutralized with deadly force. In fact, the first Camelot witness, Mr. X, as you know, died under very suspicious circumstances.
Right, absolutely. Well, I have to say that I've been in touch with another of our whistleblowers earlier this evening, and I'm hoping that we're going to hear from him on the background here at some point during the show. And I've asked him to also report on his take on this, you want to call it blue beam. We can do that because he's in a position where he may actually know quite a bit. So I'll leave that enigmatic statement out there. And have you got a chance to click on those links and take a look at
I'm actually watching it right now. And this is, I guess the first impulse I'm having is, what the hell am I looking at? It looks like there's a big, giant, rotating triangle in the sky. And there's clearly, like, these beams that appear to be spotlights that are pointed at it, or maybe that's just the way the light is reflecting off of this person's window, because it looks like it's being shot through the window of somebody's car. Whether it is actually, you can clearly see the lens reflected in the glass from the camera. Okay, now there's another shot, and he's heading down the street from a different angle. Now he's zooming in on this, yeah. Okay, so there is definitely, wow, that is really trippy. There's a what appears to be a very large triangle tilted on an angle. It's not parallel to the ground. It's tilted on an oh yeah, okay. Right. It's actually a pyramid shape. That's why I see you're calling it a pyramid, because you can actually see the bottom.
Yep.
It looks like it's a tetrahedral pyramid, actually. It's only got a three-sided base. So, wow, that is very interesting. It's kind of blowing my decorum on the radio here. I'm not as fluent as I normally would be, but what I'm watching is very substantial.
Well, yeah, live radio. I mean, we don't know if it's...
It's possible that it could be faked, I guess, by CG, but it's a very, very good fake if it's fake. It's very good.
Another one. Did you see both of them? One's over
I just watched the first one. I'm giving you my real-time reaction. Let me watch the second one now.
Okay, cool. And while you're doing that, I just want to tell you that we've got a background witness who's come forward again. And this is interesting, this dynamic, because I can actually be talking to people in text on Skype who don't want to come up because it's whistleblower radio, right? So they're not necessarily going to come on the air, but they can be giving us all kinds of information and feedback while we talk here. And so that's exactly what I'm hoping to have. So I don't know if this listener is going to be able to do this, so I'm going to ask him if he can talk about the blue beam in Norway and give us any kind of information about that.
It sounds like we got our break here, but this is really a very interesting set of videos you've just sent me, so we'll have more to talk about, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll go ahead because I'm waiting for an answer here, so we'll wait and see if we're getting an answer on my question. I typed it into the chat here with this witness. And meanwhile, what's your reaction to the second video, which is the one over the USA?
It looks like it could be a lot less realistic. I mean, it's one static shot of what looks like a triangle in the sky, and so it could definitely be fake.
You know what? We're going to break here. Sorry to interrupt. We do have breaks at the bottom and top of the hour, which is not too bad, actually. So here we go. We're going to break, and we'll be right back in about 4 minutes.